Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode, the big 6-2 episode 62 of Sitting Courtside. Like always, it is your boy, Dante.
It's your boy, Jerry D, of course.
And we are back with more NBA talk. We are week 2 into the NBA season. So, we have a few more games under our belt. We have, some better ideas of how teams are looking, whether they're legit or not. Still very early, but we have some more stories to go off of, some more games to go off of. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the hottest teams in the league as well as some of the coldest. And some of the surprising starts to the season, but we will get into that. Have a few teams to talk about. So we will do just that. We will jump into the first team, the hottest team in the league right now, Jerry, the Cleveland Cavaliers, off to an 8-0 start. First time they, I think this is the first time
since
that
LeBron.
The Cavs have been 8-0 since LeBron. So this is very impressive. This is something that Cleveland is not used to seeing without the king in town. So they are top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency, obviously led by Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley. They're looking good, Jerry. We've always kind of looked at Cleveland as this team that's they're there. They're a playoff team every single year, but they're not a championship competing team, a championship competitive team because of these younger guys, and we're looking to see leaps from them. Evan Mobley in particular, we're looking at. Seems like this year, guys like Garland, who's had a few really good games start the year. Evan Mobley is looking good. Jared Allen's looking good. Seems like they're finally putting it together, led by Donovan Mitchell. So if you want to kind of chime in, Jerry, and let me know what you've seen from Cleveland and what do you think this is sustainable? They'll keep going, and what it looks like for the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think Cleveland's in a position to finish with the number 1 seed out East. I think this type of play could be sustainable. I mean, we're talking about having the 2 perfect guards. Lou Will even called Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell the best duo in the league. And at this point in time, you really can't say much.
Record-wise, I guess
record-wise, you can't say anything. If we're talking about talent, obviously we're in a different stratosphere with your boys in Boston.
I think of a few people.
My boys in LA, the guys in Dallas. Obviously, there's more talented duos for sure, but I guess if we're talking about fit-wise right now, it looks like they finally figured out how to play off of one another.
Absolutely.
That's been the problem the last couple years since they've been together. Darius Garland would just ball watch, or Donovan Mitchell would ball watch. It's mostly Darius Garland doing that, though. Evan Mobley didn't know where to stand at on offense, it seems. Even his role on defense looked like it was kind of lost in the shuffle. But I'll admittedly say I haven't watched any Cleveland games live, but I did go back.
How dare you?
I did go back and watch a couple before this pod, so seeing how they're kind of using Mobley as this free safety just reminds me of how teams used to play in the 2000s, in the 2010s, right? A traditional power forward, at least back in those days, was his height. 6'10", 6'11", could possibly space the floor out just like how he can, finish around the basket. So Mobley is actually probably the key for this team. But one thing that kind of scares me, then I'll give you the floor here, is it's the depth. The starting lineup is awesome, right? Garland, Mitchell, Isaac Okoro is your defensive stoppers. Maybe get open 3. Mobley and Allen, you have your bigs.
Their backup center is Tristan Thompson.
Sam Merrill's probably one of their better players.
Dean Wade.
George's Niang.
Jerome.
It's
Strus, he's hurt, but he'll be back at some point too. But their bench is not the strongest.
That's the part that scares me. It's more so come postseason time. I know you shrank the rotation, but at least for now in this regular season, I think it's doable. It's sustainable for them to finish, 62-20 or something like that, or win over 50 games. They're going to be
actually in this Eastern Conference.
Boston and Cleveland are the only teams that are over 500.
Sad. Not good. Not a good look for the Eastern Conference. Not a good look for the teams out there. But I'm with you. I think there's a few things, too, to note, like the head coaching change. Kenny Atkinson. Yes. He has experience with guys like Jared Allen and someone we haven't mentioned, Karis LeVert, who is averaging 12 points per game, too. Not groundbreaking, but, he's contributing as well off the bench, as I may add, too. The depth is scary. I think it's something that in the regular season you don't have to worry about too much because I think, guys are fresh, season just started, guys are motivated, and I kind of look at this team as like the Knicks of last year, where I do think that they will finish as a 1 or 2 seed, but I think they're going to get run into the ground. I think their star players like Donovan, Darius, like by the time playoffs roll around, that depth is going to be an issue. Where I think the Knicks last year, by the time they had injuries and stuff, but they were exhausted by that Pacers series because
Yeah.
guys were playing 40 plus minutes a game. Josh Hart was not even being taken out of games and stuff.
What's
So
a bench?
yeah, exactly. So I think that's something that they definitely need to. I mean, it's something you have to be worried about, but at the same time, is if they see how good this team is, that I think they should make a move by the trade deadline. I think maybe they
Ooh,
should
add to
target
it.
some bench players, some depth here, because if they see this and be like, oh, okay, we have a really good team here. We have a good shot here because again, look at the rest of the East. The only team really they have to worry about right now is Boston, and then the Knicks. All these teams will get
Yeah.
back into the fold, but the opportunity's there, and if they want to strike, I think making a move might be doing that. But hey, 8-0 to start the season. Let's go back to that. They're looking
Yeah.
great. They're looking like a well-oiled machine. Kenny Atkinson has a good hold on this team.
Top
And yeah,
five in both offensive and defensive
they're
efficiency.
they're attacking both sides of the ball on
They look
offense
good.
and defense. So
They look
yeah,
good.
man. They're playing the Pelicans tonight. We film on November 6th. So they play the Pelicans, Warriors, Nets, Bulls, and Sixers are their next 5 games.
Winnable
So
games.
winnable games. Some games tougher than others, but we'll see how long they continue to streak here. But yeah, great start to
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I'll just last thing just to say here, like it does hold a special place in my heart though, that this really is like a classic looking lineup. Just from the
Right.
standpoint of what they're rolling out. I'm a 2000s kid at heart. Like I grew up in that era of basketball with traditional power forwards. So I know Mobley could shoot the ball, which maybe stops that old traditional feel, but it feels good to see a nice no Diddy, big lineup. Just you roll out 2 7-footers
The
and it's
double
like, wow.
bigs.
Yeah, like it's awesome, man. Like I love it. I just love how it looks on paper. I love how it looks on the court, and I just love the fact it's working right now. So
Cleveland's addicted to putting as many bigs in their lineup as possible. Remember when Laurie Markkinen was their starting
yeah,
small
see, that
forward a
was the
few years
ugliest thing
ago?
I've ever seen in the last
Hey,
few
there's a
years.
reason why it didn't work out, Jerry.
Between
There's a
that
reason.
and Jeff Hornacek starting 3 point guards in his starting lineup in the late 2010s, we've seen some ugly things. But shout out to Cleveland. It looks good so far.
Shout out Cleveland. All right, well, let's move on from a team at the top of the Eastern Conference to a team at the bottom, and
Yeah.
that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Believe it or not, the Bucks are 1-6 to start the season. They are not playing tonight, so they will be sitting at 1-6 still after today, but not uh, not looking good in Milwaukee, Jerry. There's
Not at all.
just so many things going on around. Chris Middleton's still out indefinitely. There's no timetable of when he's coming back. Giannis is, these stories are really starting to build up. There's a whole lot of smoke to these stories of whether he wants out, whether he's going to get traded, whether all those speculative things are starting to really rise now of his time in Milwaukee coming to an end, his patience running thin, this and that. Obviously, Lillard isn't having a bad season so far. He's had some big games, but again, he's older, so like he doesn't, you have to maximize his time available, his time left. So, and also Doc Rivers he is a basketball coach. He is a basketball coach. I'll put it that way. So yeah, it's just not looking good in not looking good in Milwaukee,
He
Jerry.
is a basketball coach.
They're actually last in the Eastern Conference. I'm checking right now.
Oh, go
So
Hornets.
and their next few games, they're playing teams like the Knicks, the Celtics, even a team like the Raptors. That is for them, it's going to be looking like a tough matchup. So, yeah, Jerry, what you want to give your 2 cents on the Bucks and what you're seeing, and just kind of what what you see the future. What does the future hold for Milwaukee, Jerry? What do you see in your crystal ball here?
He is a basketball coach.
He is, yeah. Hey,
He
tell,
sure
tell me
is.
I'm wrong. Tell me I'm
I,
wrong.
I,
You
I
can't,
can't. I
can't,
can't.
can't do it.
No,
It's a fact.
I think overall the Bucks just they lost their identity a long time ago. And I think
Big
that
time.
all started with firing Adrian Griffin,
Buden-
which
I was going to say even getting rid of Budenholzer, I think, is what really started to shake
to some
things up at
degree,
first. Yeah.
yeah. Like, but Budenholzer
But I
obviously
understand getting rid of Griffin is really what things started to spiral quickly after that.
we killed Coach Bud for not making in-game adjustments. The season before, well, the season he
Mm-hmm.
was fired after
Yeah.
that postseason exit, and rightfully so. Like, I don't think he did the right things for his team or put his team in position to actually
Sure.
get to the second round of those playoffs against the Heat. But Adrian Griffin had this team 30-13
Good.
through his first 43 games, not just coaching the Bucks, but in his head coaching career. And he
Mm-hmm.
got fired because the players, it seemed like maybe Giannis, maybe Dame, Chris Middleton, who knows? Somebody in that building that was important did not like the way things were being ran, despite them going well over 500.
Closest
Which
team to Boston in the Eastern Conference.
exactly.
Yeah. I
Then you
think at that
fire him.
point they were only like 4 or 5 games within Boston, which
Yeah.
is like at that point, like that's the closest anyone had been. So
Then you fire him. You bring in Doc Rivers, who's supposed to be this world-renowned championship-winning head
and
coach.
he just can't. He was doing play by play
Like it,
just a few
fresh
days
out the booth.
prior.
Fresh out the booth, and you get one of the jobs to coach one of the games, if not the game's best player, and an all-time great point guard, and a pretty solid supporting cast, and you're not even 500 in your first 43 games. I think he won 18 or 19 games in his first 43,
They don't
which
have a winning record since he's been there.
no,
That's for sure.
it's insane to me how that seems to get glossed over. And I think we have to entertain the conversations of where Giannis could end up, but you guys have to check out our video that would actually be out, and we'll make sure we link it here for you guys so you can see
There
it.
you go. That's a plug
But
right there.
yep, you're damn right. But it's definitely going to be a situation where, yeah, like there's a championship level that's expected of players of Giannis's caliber, and along with
Right.
Damian Lillard, there's a clock. No pun intended.
I
But
mean, both those guys. I mean, we've seen their stat lines this season. They're both
you
doing their thing.
their combined points is well over 55, and they're
Yeah,
still not getting wins.
they're 1-6. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference,
They work.
and then they play Cleveland for a second time without Giannis and come within 2. Like this team is so it's
It's,
weird.
it's weird.
It's weird. But there are instances where it's like the coach is always the first fall guy, the first domino to fall
Yeah.
in any instance, right?
No
And
matter
a
the
lot of the
sport.
times, it's like I don't know if they deserved it. I don't know if they were the problem. That's not the case here.
That's the problem.
Doc Rivers is the problem. He is. I'm not saying he is the only problem, but he is a problem. They have no identity, like you said before years ago when they were a championship team. Their identity was what? Their defense was. They were disgusting on defense,
Yeah.
and Giannis was unstoppable.
Good ball
And
movement.
and two, like you can blame the coach, you can blame the coaching and stuff. Let's blame the organization. Let's blame the front office where you get rid of your Drew Holiday, who was a champion, who was your glue guy, who was your you can say one of the leaders of your team.
Yeah.
That and whether or not Giannis wanted him gone or not, like making that move, splitting up your championship team, that is just as big of a reason for this downfall, this fast spiral, as much as hiring Doc Rivers and firing Griffin. I think.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's just a poor decision making since winning the championship, and stuff like that. Whether it's Giannis is doing or not, he's really trying to hide the fact that he's going to be the one that is wanting out of Milwaukee. All those bad decisions lead to stars wanting out. So I can't say I really blame. I don't know. Not to say I don't blame Giannis, but it's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, this when you think about the player empowerment era, like the NBA is the epitome of having multiple guys
Yep.
that pretty much get exactly where they want to end up. They
Yep.
get there. Just
Yep.
like look at the whole Brooklyn Nets experiment, right? Literally every single one of those guys wanted out. Two of them ended up in the locations that they wanted to, in KD and James Harden. And the Nets
And
thought they
Kyrie
were
ended
being
up in a good one.
yeah, but they didn't.
He
They
ended up-
didn't. They didn't. They thought that he was
They
going to
thought
not
they were
work out in
screwing him
Dallas.
over. They thought they were screwing him over.
They probably thought they're sending him to Dallas was going to implode in their face, and Dallas would have looked like shit. But it ended up being a great
Worked
decision.
out. Yep.
James Harden happened to find his way to to Brooklyn, found his way to Philly, and then find his way to LA. Like literally, he got to every place he wanted to go to.
I don't get it. Someone like him, I don't understand how he always gets his way. But hey, respect. All
That's
credit
what
to
this
him.
league is. Outside of the players, though, before we do move on, this really should everybody should put this on the top of every list that they ever thought of for controversial NBA topics. This is probably Doc Rivers' last head coaching stop. Because I can't see a world where after he underperformed, and it's not like he doesn't have talented players. I get the supporting cast and their two big season acquisitions was Torian Prince and Gary Trent Jr. It doesn't help. I get it. But you still have Giannis. You still have Dame. You still have Brook
Right.
Lopez. You still have solid guys that you're throwing out there on the floor. It's not like they're not talented.
Mm-hmm.
So Doc Rivers, if he doesn't turn this thing around somehow, and I'm betting that they don't, I'm assuming that there'll be a mid-season fire, probably somewhere close to All-Star break. If he makes it there, that he's gonna be right back in the booth and he's gonna stay there. And it's not me advocating for him to be fired. I never want to see another man or woman lose their job.
Absolutely.
When you
Absolutely.
underperform with this type of talent, it's kind
We
of
see
over.
we see the his reactions on the sideline. It was against the Celtics, so I mean I saw it live. But when Pritchard hit the 3-point, the buzzer beater, Doc Rivers just bending over with his hands on his knees. That's been the right there. That describes the Buck season so far. The start of the Buck season. Him and Darvin Ham just on the sidelines, just like, what are we doing? What do we do?
It's over, man. Like I really
And
feel
they gave him a shit ton of money too. They gave him a lot of money to get out of the booth and to coach again. What a tough life Doc Rivers has, man. What a life some of these coaches has, man. You finesse so much money out of these people. Doc Rivers, no disrespect whatsoever. He won a championship in Boston, but we are he does get treated like he's won multiple championships and he hasn't blown multiple 3-1 leads.
This league is all about
Just saying.
What have you done for me lately? And you
Not
won a
much.
championship. Exactly.
In
Nothing
08,
but blowing game 7 losses, blowing 3-1 leads, blowing the most 3-2 leads.
he's blown more 3-1 leads than he's won championships. So, sorry, Doc, but your time in the league for coaching is sickening. It's ticking.
Yeah.
Take notes from your player, Dame time. All right. Let's move on to the Western Conference. We have two more teams we're going to talk about here. Another like shocking start here. The Golden State Warriors, 6-1 to start the season. And I also want to add in here, Steph Curry missed 3 games, and the Warriors went 3-0 without him. Buddy Hield, the newest acquisition, the Klay Thompson's replacement, you can say, averaging 22 points per game so far, shooting 50% from 3. Steph Curry found his running mate. Klay Thompson, you miss him, of course, but they got a pretty good shooter in his place. So he is making up for that. Andrew Wiggins back on track, averaging 16 points per game almost. So he's having a good start to the season. And another part, too, with all of this going on, there has been some stuff with Jonathan Kuminga going on. He got benched. Now there's reports that the Warriors are more willing to trade him than ever right now. So that's kind of something you want to keep an eye on, especially if this team continues to streak, continues to stay hot. Steve Kerr said this was one of the best teams or the deepest team he's ever coached, and I thought he was crazy for saying that. But so far, I mean, they're 6-1, so he's right about something here. So Kuminga being a potential trade piece might be something where they can move him and make this roster even better. So yeah, just kind of give me your thoughts on the Warriors and like if again like kind of I asked earlier with the Cavs with their hot start, but do you think this is sustainable? Or are they? We were both talking with the Warriors as a team that might not even make the play-in. And right now they are the third best team. Well, tied for second actually in the Western Conference. So yeah. What do you think here?
I'm not afraid to admit when I was wrong. And
I was I mean shit, so far I'm wrong. That's for sure.
The both of us definitely I believe last episode we thought they might tank a little bit in those 3 games where Steph was out.
Yep.
They handle business. Buddy Hield's leading the team in scoring. I've seen Podziemski's leading the NBA in plus minus. Draymond Green is top 10 in defensive efficiency right now through these games. So, their depth is showing. People are playing well, and we got to
even Moses Moody averaging almost 11.
Yeah,
That's something from him.
there's a lot of things that's sticking out that looks really good, and I think we also have to make an apology to Steve Kerr because over the summer we said some some hurtful things about.
No, I still well, yeah, listen. I still stand on some of those things.
Oh yeah, to some degree. I'm not going back on
I'm
everything.
not going to go back on everything. I'll go back on the him questioning him saying this team is deep. Yet, I mean, there's 8 guys on this team averaging at least 9 points per game.
That's solid.
So
I,
it's
I give
they spread the ball around a lot.
I give Kerr's props for making wine out of water, right now,
Hmm.
or water to wine kind of
Sure.
thing in this situation. Just for not having any big major names. Obviously, you still have Steph, you still have Dre, but you didn't add any major names in free agency. You
Hmm.
added good
Whoa.
complementary
Kyle
players,
Anderson. Now, come on,
good
let's
comp,
not disrespect.
good complementary players like Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield, Sarge, and all those guys. So like I'm cool with where the Warriors are at, but is it sustainable? I think they'll fall back down to earth. I
I
don't
do.
think
I
they'll.
agree.
I don't think they'll finish top 3 in the West or top 5. I think with what I'm seeing, if they could somehow harness some of this for a bulk of the season, 7 to 10. Like
Hmm.
I still think that the Lakers will be
Playing
better.
team.
Yeah, like the Lakers will be better. The Grizzlies will creep up. The Rockets will creep up
I
potentially.
mean, teams catch up. I mean, New Orleans right now. I mean, they're so beaten up right now. Dejounte Murray comes back, they'll make a run. Dallas is below them.
Yes,
Lakers, Minnesota, Denver. Like there's. I mean, Sacramento, Memphis. There's a lot of good teams out west.
that's
But
what
yeah, it's
I don't
kind of
know.
hard to predict if they'll stay up there. Again, hot start to the season. Winning without Steph Curry, very impressive. But there's just it's hard to predict with all the teams out west. If I had to say now, I think that they are. Before I was saying they weren't a play-in team, I'll give them that respect. I think that they are a play-in team at least. That's probably where I put them right
I
now,
mean,
7 to 10 with you.
based off of who they have on the roster, and Steve Kerr could do just enough to kind of get those guys there. I'm like, all right, that seems more realistic.
And
My bad for saying that you won't make it at all, but I'll take it.
yeah, that's on us. That's on us. And one thing too, like it is kind of concerning, like Steph Curry getting hurt this early into the season. I know they went 3-0 without him, but that's something that that can't keep happening. Steph Curry can't keep missing time because if he's out for more like extended periods of time or like little you know here and there, that's
Season
not
could be over.
that could be detrimental to them, especially if they're against like big teams and stuff that you need Steph Curry for. So
Out west, you can't afford to drop games that you should quote unquote win, right?
like
Like if we,
listen, they've won the 3 games without Steph, but they played the Pelicans twice and the Rockets. And I know the Rockets are good this year, but they're young. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
they beat teams that no DeJounte, and I think Zion didn't play one of those games as well. So it's like they not to say that they're as good as those teams without Steph, but like those are winnable games. If they play a
Sure.
team like Phoenix or OKC or something without Steph, like I don't think that's not going to be a good outcome for them.
Nope,
So not at
agreed.
all. But kind of segueing into a team that I just mentioned, the Phoenix Suns, another team that is 6-1 to start off the year that I don't think is or should be as shocking or surprising
No.
as the Warriors start to the year. First of all, Kevin Durant at 35, 36 years old, averaging almost 40 minutes a game, averaging 27 points, almost 7 rebounds, 3 assists a game. Devin Booker averaging close to 25 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Bradley Beal, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So we know what we're getting out of the big three. And honestly, this stat line right here, I think this is perfect because KD, like as long as KD can still go, he probably still should be the go-to guy on your team. I know Devin Booker is there, and it's probably his team, but Kevin Durant is unstoppable. So him kind of being the point leader here, it doesn't surprise me. Devin Booker kind of focused more on playmaking, close to the 6 assists. But Bradley Beal, I think 17 points out of him, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I think that's kind of like we look at like the big threes in recent history, Jerry, right? Like I think more of like I know it's different positions and stuff like Miami and Cleveland, where like you have like the Kyries, the LeBrons, the Dwayne Wade's LeBrons, and then you have the third guy that like you're trying to have fit in stuff, and their numbers are the ones that kind of dip. Like we know Bradley Beal can average 30 points a game, he's done it, but like he's a guy that needs to sacrifice a little bit for the sake of the team for Kevin Durant, Booker to shine. And I think he's showing that this year. I think him kind of taking that step back and learning to adjust playing with these guys is one of the reasons why they're starting off hot, as well as getting a lot of help from their role players. I think that's something that was of great concern to them, especially last year. But like guys like Royce O'Neal, Tyus Jones, Nurkic, Grayson Allen, even the guy that you've been hyping up, Orion Dunn. You were talking about him early on, Jerry. They're getting
Yep.
a lot of help, that big three, and I think that's just as important. Like, yes, like you go as far as your best players take you, but like if you can run them into the ground, just like I was mentioning earlier with some other teams if you don't have good depth. So
Yeah.
it seems like they have solid depth this year, which is something they didn't have last year when they put this team together. They had a full offseason training camp, with the big three kind of, learning with each other, getting used to playing with each other. And honestly, Jerry, I think that the Suns they're up there with the biggest threats out west. I mean, I could probably say there's like an OKC ahead of them, but like besides them, Jerry, I don't know if there's a team in the West better than the Suns right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild because I feel like we made a short about sleeper teams, some of the biggest sleeper teams
Mm-hmm.
for us for each
And
conference. I chose Phoenix
you did?
because I know people are sleeping on them just because of what happened last year. Oh, they got swept in the postseason, and Anthony Edwards did this to them, and they got strapped up. KD didn't have a great series, and whatever reasons you want to throw out for their shortcomings last year, but again, I get it. It's what have you done for me lately? And
In amongst a strong Western Conference. So
they
again,
they still won 49 games despite
mm-hmm.
Bradley Beal missing a bulk of them.
Right.
They replaced Frank Vogel, which I think was not the right fit
That,
for a head coach of offensive talent. You bring in
yep.
Coach Budenholzer.
Who we
This
were
makes a
talking
lot
about
more
earlier.
exactly.
Absolutely.
This makes a lot more sense for him to be in that position than
Mm-hmm.
any defensive mind because hey, Kevin Durant's one of the best offensive players ever. Devin Booker's a top 10 offensive player today, and so is Bradley
Absolutely.
Beal, maybe in the top 20 somewhere. So you have guys that can put the ball in the hole, and they're all smart basketball players, which is why, like you just read off the stats, like none of them are averaging 30 or 30 plus or anything
Right.
like that. But you have two guys averaging damn near 25, and a guy in Bradley Beal that could average 25 on any other
Right.
team in the league. Like this
Exactly.
is how you do it. You don't need again. I always come back to this microwavable success. That's
Sure.
not
Yeah.
what Phoenix was about to do last year because who was coming off the bench? Now you actually have
Who's coming
depth,
off
and
the bench?
I had to get high pitched with these dudes, man. Like I think we all expected Phoenix to win just because Kevin
Yeah.
Durant's there, man. Like this is about to
Older players, vets, Timberwolves still on the come up.
like dude, like relax. In the words of the great Aaron Rodgers, just relax, man. Take a chill pill. Let things kind of develop a little bit and
Yeah.
watch how things work. They went out and got role players, and hell yeah, I was hyping up Ryan Dunn because this is the perfect situation for him to be inserted in late game situations potentially, guard opposing teams' best players. I think he's holding all stars to under 32% shooting so far in his young career. So I love my prediction for him to make an all rookie team. Like I like the Suns, man. Like if I wasn't a Laker fan, I'd probably pull for them to get out the West, take care of business, potentially battle Boston, whoever they might face. It's probably going to be Boston. But it'll be fun to just see Kevin Durant and Devin Booker kind of lead this team to a different place. So I
Yep.
agree. Everything you said is spot on to me. Like I have no objections to what anything you said. The Suns are one of the most feared teams because you don't know how to stop the big three and essentially the other role players who are feeding off all the attention on their stars. All you got to do is be open and hit an open shot or layup. In Nurkic and Plumlee's case, so I love Phoenix. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, man. And I have written down here too. I mean, like, we don't have to get super into it, but like I think that they've kind of overtaken the Nuggets as being like that feared team in the Western Conference. Like the Nuggets, like, amongst the last few years was like that's the juggernaut in the West. Yes, there's a lot of good teams, but we know what Denver is. They have that Serbian freak in Nikola Jokic, right? But now it's like I mean, again, it's early. I think let me pull up. I think they're 4-3 Denver right now.
Yeah, Denver
Four and
still
three.
has the most feared player, but
They have the best player in the league, I believe. But I think teams one crack the code, and two are they're just not scared of Denver as much anymore. They don't have as much depth as they used to. Jamal Murray isn't getting better, but he's not getting worse. There's been a lot of, anonymous players saying like it's easier to guard Murray now and stuff like that. So I don't think Denver is as legit or as much of a guarantee as they once were. And I think the Suns are kind of leapfrog them
Yeah,
in
I
this
agree.
case. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. And then we talked about the two Western Conference teams, both 6-1. I think I know the answer to this, Jerry, but kind of what team are you
Oh
most
yeah,
confident in? What team do you think it's more sustainable to keep this going as the season progresses? I think I
absolutely.
know who you're going to
No,
say, but
no thought needed. No thought necessary. It's definitely Phoenix. I mean,
yeah,
when you're looking at matchups on a nightly basis, and I look at the scouting report, and I have to guard Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, and
instant
game
headache.
plan
I'm
around
getting dizzy. I'm getting dizzy.
which one do I stop? Who do we key in on? Hey, yeah, sure, let it be Kevin Durant every single time because yeah, that's probably the best scorer in the league or whatever. It doesn't matter.
No,
Like it's
no,
it's a pick your poison kind of offense, just like how you mentioned the Nuggets and how they had their feared offensive years throughout the last couple of years. But this is scary, man. Three
yeah,
guys could drop 30 on you if you're not careful, and if you're not careful, at least three of them could drop 20.
yeah. They're good,
That's
man.
60 points. That's 60 over 60 points right there. So I'm kind of like, yeah, it's easily Phoenix, easily.
I'm not gonna waste anybody's time because yeah, I agree. Suns they're good this year, man. Like I said, I think the only team in the West better than them right now is OKC. We're still very early on, but
Baby
Phoenix
steps.
looks legit, man. Phoenix looks legit. So, but all right, that's kind of what we have for this episode today. Like Jerry mentioned when we were talking about Milwaukee, we will be having a video coming out. Should be out already, so you can find it now, of us talking about where Giannis could potentially land if he does get traded from Milwaukee, whether it's his doing or the organization's doing of who started what. But be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for other long form videos and our gamified content on this channel as well. But before I sign off and everything like that, Jared, do you have anything you wanna include before we do that?
Absolutely. I would like to say to every other NFL organization, not named the Kansas City Chiefs, the 31 other teams, you should all be pissed at the Tennessee Titans for trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs for a bag of chips. Because now, all these people that thought
Hey,
DeAndre Hopkins' career was over, that he had nothing left in the tank because he was playing with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph in Tennessee, are seeing that, wow, this dude's
he
still
still
pretty
is
good.
he still is good. Yeah, two touchdowns in shitty weather against Tampa Bay. And
About 7 receptions, 86 yards. Oh, damn. Maybe Kansas City can get it done. Of course they can get
that's
it
what
done
that's
again.
what happens when you give a player like that a quarterback like Mahomes. Like
Look,
it's
man, DeAndre Hopkins has had 7 or 8 different 1,000 yard seasons with about 15 to 20 different quarterbacks.
he's like you talk about star receivers, like Hall of Fame receivers that have had just the shittiest hand with quarterbacks. He's always had terrible luck with quarterbacks. He's never had a consistent quarterback.
Yes, and if it wasn't
And
Deshaun,
now look
Deshaun
at him.
Watson messed that up, like
Oh,
Deshaun
Deshaun
Watson was the
Watson
guy.
messed it up. Yeah, of
And
course.
then he
But
decided to get himself into trouble. But now everything. Look at God. You get to play with the best, if
and
not the best
they're
ever.
going for he got traded to an undefeated team, going for a three-peat.
Wow.
He
How you
deserves it.
go from
Hopkins
first
deserves
team?
it.
He went from worst to first. DeAndre Hopkins, man, I'm happy for you, dog.
A round of applause for DeAndre Hopkins. It's the Chiefs. Just when you think that they, just when you think that they're out, they find a way back in, and the whole time they've been undefeated too, which is absolutely insane.
Ain't
So
that crazy? And
it is
Tennessee
crazy.
gave him a wide receiver one for free. No Rashee Rice, no Hollywood Brown. Here, take DeAndre. Hold my beer. Take DeAndre.
We
Like what?
got you. Don't worry, Kansas City. We got you. Well, yep. Pray. I'm praying for everyone else. I know the Patriots aren't even going to be competing, so I'm not
Why
worried
you?
about it.
Why,
But
why did you even mention them?
I'm just
Come on,
saying.
man.
Just saying. I'm not worried about anything. Listen, I'm comfortable getting the number one pick this year. That's all I care about. But yeah, what do I want to add? Do I have anything I want to add? Oh yeah, Steve Kerr. Good luck tonight, buddy. Golden State. Good luck tonight, guys. Jason Tatum is going to rip you guys apart. This episode is going to be coming out 2 days after the fact, so maybe you can send this to cold hot takes, whatever, if I'm completely wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be. Tatum is going to go scorched earth on them motherfuckers tonight. Steve Kerr, they're going to cut to him at some point with his hands on his legs, bending over just like Doc Rivers the other night. And he's going to be wondering, why the hell did I bench this guy? What did I awaken in him? And all I can
play
say,
more than
Steve
15
Kerr,
minutes, coach.
all I
play
can
more
say,
than 15.
all I can say, Steve Kerr, is thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, you two, for watching this episode, episode 62 of Sitting Courtside. We appreciate you, your support. As always, please make sure to like, subscribe if you are here on YouTube. Check out our gamified content, shorts content, and our other long-form content as well. If you are an audio-only listener, please make sure to give us a review, 5-star review, rating, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You know the deal. Look us up. Find us. We're there. Until next week, peace.
You messed up, Steve.